My brother told me this summer that I'm a Karen. Well, actually, he asked me if I realized that I'm a Karen. To which I said, yeah, but I'm okay with it. And I don't know if the story I'm about to tell actually makes me a Karen or not. But I realize that I am. However much I disagree with the terminology of what a Karen is. I was listening to a podcast this weekend. It's not even the weekend. I was listening to a podcast today, this afternoon, is what I mean. And the hosts were talking about an analog watch. And I've talked about analog versus digital and how using analog clocks from time to time is important, just for the very least, like keeping your brain smart and connected and together. Let me back up just a half a step, and then we'll get right back to this. I am technically, like generationally, classified as a millennial, but there are a lot of millennial ideals that I do not get behind and support, and this is an example of one of those. So in the podcast I was listening to, the gentlemen were talking about how they wear an analog watch on their wrist, but not only do they not have it set to the correct time, they're only wearing it for the fashion aspect of having a watch that is not digital. Because let's be real, if it's not an Apple Watch or like a Fitbit or something, a digital watch does look childish on your wrist. An analog watch is much classier. But they described it as being there for just the fashion purpose and not for actually telling time, to the point where it's not even set to the correct time. Like they just took it out of the package and put it on because it looked cool. That is a very, in my opinion, millennial way of thinking. Why on earth would you wear a piece of jewelry, essentially, that has a specific function and not utilize it for that function? And this is where the Karen mentality comes in. I don't know if this makes me a Karen or not, but I think that's 100% stupid. The fact that you are only wearing this watch because it looks cool, and to the point where they even explain, like if somebody asked them the time, they pull out their phone. While they have the watch on their hand, they pull out their phone and look at the time on the phone instead, because they either, one, aren't willing to do the, looking at the clock and figuring out what time it is, or two, because the watch is not set to the correct time, for the aforementioned reason of they don't want to look at the analog clock to actually tell the time. So that's one small example. And it is complainy, and it is probably Karen-esque. But this harkens back to me being a conservative type person, and again, that may not even describe me fully, to the point where if there's a purpose to something, then do it. And if you're doing something for no purpose, then don't be doing it. And you might argue that, yeah, the watch, the purpose of wearing the watch is for fashion. Well, in that case, get a bracelet. Okay? Get a bracelet and wear that, because at that point, you are not using the watch for its intended purpose, and you may as well have just taped a piece of paper to your hand that says, 305 all the time. Get you a leather wristlet that looks cool. Don't wear a watch if you're not going to use it for the purpose of what it was created. For the purpose for which it was created. Say it correctly. These are the things that irk me, and they shouldn't, because that person wearing that watch doesn't actually affect me. Why can't he just do what he wants to do and me not be bothered by it? I don't know, but I am bothered by it. Because eventually, that's going to become the commonplace mentality that we can just do whatever we want to do without any semblance of order and reasoning and purpose behind it. I am of the belief that everything you do should be for a purpose, and that purpose should lead to the next purpose, to fulfill the reason for your existence. We are on this earth to do something, not just exist and die. And I know that seems like a far stretch from wearing a watch, but these are all gateways. These are stepping stones. And we got to be careful. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday.